All right, well, let's start adding some connecting pieces in here. I feel like the top of the horn is kind of hanging out there, and we could use the curved piece here. So you can see underneath the headlight, we've got this kind of curved piece of metal right there. If we hit the 3 key, you can see that here. So I think we need to add that, probably a connecting piece across. There's a little piece on top of the horn that we could find on another image here. Let's take a look at this one here. There's just a piece right here that kind of connects to the top. And then it looks like there's a crossbar with a little cylinder on top as well. So I think there's just a couple things we can do here to finish this off, or at least get it so it feels like everything's connected. And then we can maybe move on to other parts, and we may have to come back to this area, it's true, but I think I'd just like to finish it off for now with a few connecting pieces. So to do that, let's just take this right here, this cylinder in the center, and I'm going to go to wireframe. Now, I have been going to wireframe by pressing the Z key and then going to wireframe and then Z and back to solid here. But just like you can go to X-ray with Alt-Z and then toggle back, you can also press Shift-Z to go to wireframe and then toggle back there. It's just one of those shortcut keys I don't always use, but I just wanted to mention it just in case you find it useful here. I'm going to press Shift-C and then press Shift-D to duplicate, move this up to here, let's say, and then I'll press Shift-C and go back. And now let's scale this in the X and the Y, but not the local Z. So I'll press S Shift Z to turn off that Z axis and just scale that down a bit. And then it looks like there are these pieces right here on either side. So I think I'm going to take one of these. I'm just going to tab into edit mode and then hover over this piece here and press the L key and then press Shift D Z and pull that out. And then I'll split it off as its own object. I'll press the P key and separate by selection. And then if we just tab back into object mode and select that again, let's scale this down. Now, the origin of this object is still back here, so we could come up here to Object, Set Origin, and move the origin to the geometry. And then when we scale it down, we can scale it in object mode if we want. And then I'll just bring this and put it right in here. And I feel like it's hard to see, but I feel like there's kind of a rounded edge there. So maybe let's tab into edit mode and let's just select this edge right here and press Control B and then pull that out and scroll the mouse wheel just to get that kind of curved there. All right, so we've got that, and then we should probably put it over on the other side, right? So I'll press Shift S1 to put the cursor in the center, the period key, and go to 3D cursor for the pivot point. And now that pivot point is way down here at the 3D cursor. And then let's duplicate and mirror this over. So Shift D, enter, Control M, and then the X key. And that doesn't work because we're in local transformation. So if we go back to global, now I have this duplicate here. Let's press Control M and X and then enter, and that will do it there. All right. So now let's work on maybe this piece right here. It looks like it goes to the top of that bar, and then there's another cylindrical piece on top of it. Let's try it and see. I will select this and tab into edit mode, and then select this edge here. Press Shift S2 to move the cursor there. Let's press Shift A, mesh plane. And let's take this down to maybe 0.1 so we get it a little bit smaller. And I'll scale it down to about the width that we think it should be. Maybe something like this. And then let's go to the side view. I'll press Shift Z again. Let's turn it to get it kind of angled the way we want it. I'll press G and move it into here. And then what let's do is tab into edit mode, and I'll hit the 1 key to go to vertex mode, and I'll drag select those two vertices here. And then let's extrude back to get this curve down to the top of that cylinder. So let me go back to median point with the period key. Then I'll hit the G key and move down a bit. And then I'll just begin hitting the E key. E, E, and I'm just going to bring these around so it's about like this. All right, let's try that. Shift Z, and I'll scale in the X. So it brings it out a bit like that. And maybe we can scale in the X here too. Let's smooth it. And then let's add a solidify modifier, but I better apply the scale here, right? So let's apply the scale, Control A. And then let's add a solidify modifier and hold the Shift key and click and drag in there until we get it down to about where we think we want it. Let's try that. I'll go to Object Data Properties, turn on Auto Smooth. Yeah, maybe I could move that so it's a little bit thinner. Maybe about like that. And then under Auto Smooth, maybe I can click and drag and smooth that edge there. Well, it doesn't really seem to want to do that. So what we could do actually is we could take that edge right here and just press Control B and pull that out so it kind of curves it a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of nice. And then this piece right here, we could probably cannibalize from something else. Maybe this right here. Let's try that. Shift Z to go to wireframe. Shift D. I'll bring this up here. Let's hit the comma key, go to local transformation, and we can bring it down a bit here. Shift Z. Let me scale it down a bit. Shrink it in the Z a bit and move it down into here. And then I feel like I need one connecting piece right underneath it. So let's maybe grab a bolt somewhere. Where's a good bolt? Well, how about here? Let's try that. Shift Z again. Shift D to duplicate. Let's bring that down here. And maybe I will just scale it down a bit and put that right in here. Let's see if that works. I may need to move it a bit. Scale it in the Z to kind of close that area off. Let's see. No, I'm not a big fan of that. What if we added an edge loop here and just pulled down a bit like that? Yeah, that's not too bad. And then maybe we could take this whole thing and move it up a bit. Yeah, let's try that. I feel like that's at least gives a sense that that's connecting there. Now we are going to have to do a little bit of work here just to close these off. I feel like I just need to take this edge here, press ES, and then I'm just going to hit the M key to merge at the center. There we go. And I'll do the same thing down here, ES, then the M key and merge at center just to close those off. And we're probably going to need something up here, aren't we? Oh, how about this? Let's do that. Maybe I'll take this and this. Let's duplicate it. Let's join those together. Control J. And then let's move these up. And here we go. Now let's take these and move these up here. Shift Z. And I'll hit the G key and move this up here like this. Could probably turn it a bit. Scale it up a bit. I just want to put it in here about like this. And then I'm probably going to have to move this. Yep. Move it over. Let's see if we can get it in the center. Maybe I'll move this and select this vertex here. Move the cursor to it, Shift S2. And then we can take this and snap it to the cursor. So Shift S and then 8, selection to cursor. And there we go. Now we can just drag straight up and it's in the center there of the piece. All right, what do we think? Yeah, I don't mind that. That's okay. All right, so we've got that. There may be more to this area in here, I'm not sure. But let's get that curved piece that we were just talking about. This piece right under the light. So to do that, I think I just want Well, I think I just want a polygon plane down here once again. Let's tab into edit mode and let's maybe select this point here. No, let's select this edge right here so that that pivot point right there is where we want to take the cursor. Shift S2. There we go. Now when we create a polygon plane, it's going to be right there. So let's take this and let's turn it a bit. Scale it down a little bit more, turn it a bit, and put it right in here. Kind of like this. Let's split it. I'm going to press Control R and just hit Enter twice to add an edge right down the center. And then I'll select this face here and delete faces. And then we want to add a mirror modifier to this right here. There we go. And let's turn on clipping. Now, if we tab into edit mode and select just that edge, what I want to do is bring it out and bring it right down to where it needs to be. So I'm going to go to the 3 key here, and then I'm going to hit G and move this down. And I'm going to turn it, Shift Z to go to wireframe. And let's bring this right down into here like this. I'm going to go back to global, bring it down so it's right there, right in here, let's say. Okay, so now that's there. Now we just need to add some edges to give it that curve, right, that we see here. So what I'm going to do is press Control R and come up here, and then let's just bring this out like this and up, right? And let's go to the side view. Maybe we can bring it forward just a bit. And now if we do this again like this, now let's bring this out and maybe up a bit. And then we do another one here, maybe bring this over like that, right? So we've got that basic shape now. If we go to the side view, we can see we've pretty much got that shape. I feel like mine's a little bit too wide. Maybe I can press S and Y and scale it in just a bit. And let's, first of all, give this a solidify modifier. I'll do that first. And before we do that, we should apply the scale. Control A, choose scale. Now let's apply a solidify, even thickness. And let's bring that till we get a thickness that we kind of like there. Okay, that's not bad. Let's go ahead and smooth it and turn on auto smooth down here. Maybe pull that up just a bit. Okay. And then let's also add a subdivision surface modifier to smooth that up a bit. There we go. Feel like I need to either move this subdivision surface up. There we go. Let's move the subdivision surface up in the modifier stack just so we get the thickness first there. And then let's also tab into edit mode and let's add, here we go. Let's add an edge right in here. There we go. We could increase the subdivision levels if we wanted, and that would help with that curve. Feel like we need to now bring this edge up into the light a bit. Let's turn on the cage here, grab that edge, and let's just bring it straight up. All right, so we've got that piece. In the next video, let's add a couple more connecting pieces through here. And then maybe we can move on to another part of the bike.